Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and honored that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Ruth Maley. She is here to celebrate her certified great read, The Power of Kindness Through the Eyes of Children. We're really excited to welcome Ruth back to the show. She is a two-time Reading with Your Kids certified great read author. Her books are absolutely wonderful. You are going to be so delighted to learn about this new book, The Power of Kindness Through the Eyes of Children. I hope you are also delighted to know that the Reading with Your Kids podcast is back on the road. That's right, the United States is opening up. The masks are coming down. People are getting vaccinated. We are able to get together live and in person once again. And we are going to be at two amazing events in the not too distant future. In August, the Reading with Your Kids podcast will be at Connect Fest at the Cape Cod Fairgrounds in Falmouth, Massachusetts. This is a great family music event. One of our friends, Phil Joel, is one of the headlining acts. I'll be performing my Family Magic show, and we'll also have the Reading with Your Kids booth there where you can come in and check out all sorts of great books by some of the authors that have been here on the show. You can also be part of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. And in September, we'll be at the Lowell Kinetic Sculpture Race. This I'm really excited about. I've been part of Connect Fest for many, many years. This is the first time I'm going to be at the Lowell Kinetic Sculpture Race in beautiful downtown Lowell, Massachusetts. And I just can't wait. I've been checking out. They're going to have all these handmade, human-powered kinetic sculptures that will be racing through the water and the mud and the sand and the road, and it's a great celebration of STEM and friendship and community, and we're going to be there September 18th. We would love you to be there. Come on down. Let us know what you think of the different sculptures. Let us know your favorite books. It's all happening. You can find out all about our live events and also find out how we can bring the Reading with Your Kids podcast to your community at our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Joining us on the line right now is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read author. She is returning to the show to celebrate the start of a brand new Kickstarter campaign to publish her second book. The name of the second book is The Power of Kindness Through the Eyes of Children. Please welcome back to the show, Ruth Maley. Ruth, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks, Jed. I am great. How are you?
I'm pretty wonderful. Summertime is finally seeming to get a grip here in New England, huh?
Yep, right around the corner.
Yeah, wonderful. So I'm really excited. Ruth is joining us from the beautiful state of Rhode Island, and we're excited to have her back on. Her first book was so popular amongst our panel. They enthusiastically gave it 5 stars, and it became a certified great read. And so I'm excited to learn about this brand new book. Tell us about it, please.
So The Power of Kindness was inspired by my daycare children. We were sitting around the table one day, and we were talking about kindness and how we can have a rippling effect by doing acts of kindness. And so the kids started coming up with all kinds of ways of being kind. And some of them were just so unique and unusual, kind of like what we wouldn't probably think of, but yet they think it's really important. So there are so many examples in the book on ways that children can actually become more kind, do more kind acts, and basically start that rippling effect and make somebody else's day a happy day.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you turn to the experts, the kids in your daycare center, because as adults, we can sit down and we can think of a bazillion different things, that we can do to show kindness, that we can imagine kids can do to show kindness, but to actually get their input, what's important to them. Because let's face it, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds, they see the world differently. Their priorities are different than ours.
Yeah, and they actually can be very powerful. They can actually make a difference. And I try to teach that to them every day by example, but also by sharing stories with them or by having them brainstorm to come up with ways. Some of the things that the kids came up with, like one little girl, Natalie, she came up with to rescue a dog from a pound or from, she had gotten a dog from Puerto Rico. And so she's like, that's being kind, is by saving that dog. And I was like, that's really, interesting. Another little boy said saving a wiggly worm from drowning because he had just read a bunch of books about worms and how they can't survive in water. And he was like, we could save worms because worms are good for birds and this and that. So it's funny. Their minds really, are quite unique. And I've taken that into the book and, shared what they thought, but I also have put a page in there where, we're going to find out what other kids around the world think about being kind.
Really, I love that. It's totally interactive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the most surprising suggestion that you heard from your kids?
Maybe sharing a favorite cookie of theirs when they wanted the whole thing, which, shows empathy. It shows that you want to, give your friend or your sibling that other half of that cookie, even though it was like so important for you to eat that whole cookie. So that was a unique one. Another one was when Grandma and Grandpa come to visit, so Mom and Dad can go out for date night.
Ah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been one that I would have come up with at 4 or 5 years old.
No, not at all. I was kind of surprised too. I was like, wow. And actually used the word date night. I was like, So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Doing my educational magic show, one of the things I do, I've mentioned it here on the podcast before, is I hand out little beads that we're going to do something magic with, but I ask the kids as they're holding onto the beads to think about something that they're grateful for. And I am always amazed at the different things. Lots of kids come up with, I'm thankful for my family and my friends, but there are other things that are really kind of surprising and wonderful. One of the ones that really stands out is, I think it was a 5 or 6-year-old kindergarten kid said, I am grateful that I am able to help people. And I thought, wow, that's, just realizing the value, the things that we get from helping others and reaching out to others.
Yeah, and it could be something really small. It could be something really big, and it empowers them to want to do more. And like I said, they have a lot of power. They can actually make a difference in the world. And when they can show that, when they can bring that to somebody, it's a rippling effect. It's like a pebble in the water. It keeps going and going and going and going. And you're not only making that person happy, but you're also making yourself happy. And then you can conquer anything. So it's really important for kids to actually embrace the idea that they can, of kindness, and to try and do the best they can to actually make the choice of kindness. When I teach them breathing techniques, which is in the book, where they can actually make a choice. And in the book, we talk about what choice is. Because a lot of times it's really hard for a child to make a good choice. And most of the time they're working on instincts. Most of the time they're doing it in a split second. But if you take that time to do a couple of breathings, techniques, then you can actually sit down and go, yeah, do I really want to share that cookie? Or do I really want to, grab a book or grab a puzzle and be quiet while my sister or brother is taking a nap? That was another one. So it's definitely important for kids to have that ability to make that choice, to understand what kindness is, and to understand what kindness does for other people, because the world needs more kindness. We all need more kindness.
We certainly do. You use the image of the ripple effect, and that's something a lot of us are very, very familiar with. Do kids, can kids at that age really kind of understand that one drop in the water can spread and affect people that they'll never even see?
They can to a certain extent. We do a lot of work on that in my preschool. But they do show, a lot of empathy towards other children, and it does affect them. Like if they're noticing, I just had one child the other day who was trying to give a hug to one of the kids, and the little one was just starting walking the last like 3 months or so, and she fell. And, I went over, picked her up, hugged her. She started crying, and she got a little bump, and the child that did that felt really awful. You could tell her whole body just changed. Her language changed. She just, and I got her over, and I said, why don't you hold the ice? Why don't you? And that made her feel better. And then she realized that she needed to be more gentle. So that's part of the kindness thing. It's part of the way of teaching them. If they're living it, they start to be it. And that reconnects their brain, neurons and stuff. And that's where they can start to learn more off of it. So the more you are kind, the more you make those good choices, the more you're spreading that happiness. And they can see it in their own little lives. They might not be able to see it 3 or 4, people down the road, but they do see it.
I'm guessing there might be somebody out there listening to this thinking to themselves, little kids, aren't they just naturally kind? Why do we have to teach kids to be kind?
Actually, they're not, because they see a lot in the world, right? And so it's important that we use examples in our lives and point things out to them, because that's actually how they're learning, by seeing it, by going over it, by reading it. I was just asked the other day, what makes a great book? And one of the things that makes a great book is when children want to read and reread it over and over and over again. That is one of the biggest compliments to an author, because you want them to keep learning. Every time they read the book, they see something different. They hear something different. Something else gets triggered in their mind. So kids come into the world, not like having just what they need, and they learn off of everybody. And I've always said this as a coach, as a preschool teacher, we are born with a program that we have to breathe, sleep, all that kind of stuff. But then every person that comes into your life adds a program to it. Every person. And so eventually, by the time you get to school age, you've got a lot of programs running in that computer of yours. And some are good and some are bad. And so some are not so pleasant. And so it's really important to, surround yourself with kindness, surround yourself with people that are going to be doing kind things. Christmas time, all the kids get together and we host a family. And it's not about going out and buying presents. It's about actually making things for them along with those presents. So I think a lot of times children learn by example, and when they start to do it, they become empowered. They feel good about themselves, and they want to keep on doing it.
Yeah. Now, in a lot of ways, you've made the choice to rely on the kindness of friends and strangers to get your book published. Was there a connection between the message in the book and that choice?
You mean my first book or this book?
This book.
Well, I'm actually reaching out more now to people that I don't know because of the success of the first book. I mean, it was very successful. It won 6 major awards. And it got to a lot of places. I mean, over 19 countries has read it. So, but I'm trying to market and build my following, so that the sequel of the books will keep coming out. So, that's the reason why I'm actually doing a Kickstarter, which most people, think of as a GoMe fund or It's not though. It's a crowdfunding platform, and it's a pre-order platform, so that you get something for what you're paying. And there's levels of rewards, and those rewards, you choose which level you want, and it's run for 30 days. The first 4 days are really crucial. The first 2 days, there's a early bird special, so you can get one of the rewards at a discounted price. But in the rewards, there's everything from a plush Orbit, which is our mascot, he's the Earth, to stickers and tattoos and coloring book or activity book, and each reward has a kindness app that will be free for children, so that they can actually play along with Orbit and track their kindness. And as they track it and they get certain points, they'll get things on the app that they can earn prizes for, and it encourages them to actually go out and do more kindness acts.
That's really cool. Now, we're publishing this episode of the podcast on July 12th. The Kickstarter campaign starts tomorrow, July 13th, 2021. So if you're listening to this in the future, the book has already been published and it's already won bazillions of awards, and you can find out what those are. But if you're listening to it today, on July 12th, you want to get ready to go. What's the minimum? I think Kickstarter campaigns are really great, and I think they're really great to do as a family, because especially if if you receive a book and kids get excited and it's my book, but if kids receive a book and it's your book, and then on top of that, they know that they helped get this book published, because they made the choice, because their family made the choice to come together and to support this book. Kids all over the world are able to read the book because of them. I think that's really neat.
Yes, exactly. And the first book is published, but this book is not published yet.
Right.
It's complete. But we haven't hit the publish button, because in order for us to do that, we have to do this Kickstarter in order to get the money to produce the books. So the illustrations have already been paid for, the graphic designing been paid for, but the actual publishing of the books, the printing of the books, has not been paid for, and that's what we're aiming for. Kickstarters are great ways of coming together as a family. Mine is I want to get this book into as many children's hands as possible, so that they can benefit from these kindness ideas. I want it to be as interactive as possible, and that's why I did the Orbit kindness app, which will be free for everybody. And then there's also a song that's going to be printed in the book that they'll be able to download as well. So there's a lot of benefits to a Kickstarter. There's no risk for the person that's actually purchasing it or pre-ordering it. The risk is actually on the author, because if we don't make our goal, it doesn't get funded. So it's a win-win for them, because of the fact that you won't get anything charged on your credit card or anything. So it's really important to have enough of the people behind you to get this going and get it produced and published.
So what's the minimum that somebody could jump on and support you?
There's a $10 just ebook that's available, and then they go up in increments. 25 is the book, the ebook, the app, the tattoos, and then that's the early bird, and then $30 the next one, and they just keep going up. There is one that has a reward where you can actually have your child put into the book their name, where they're from, and what they think kindness is to them, and that will be in the book, and that will be published in all of the books, so everybody will know that that's your child. And then there'll also be 3 rewards for teachers, librarians, social workers that have, one of them is actually Orbit and myself going to a classroom and doing an in-person visit with a lot of stuff, like a teacher's lesson plan, a poster for the board, for the wall, diplomas, it's just a slew of different things, tattoos for everybody. So
wow. Now, is that open for teachers everywhere? Are you going to hop
everywhere.
on a plane and go to Australia?
No, that's the only thing. There is 2 other ones that are not for not local, for distant people. That one is for Rhode Island and local areas, like surrounding areas of Rhode Island. But yeah.
Ah, neat. So how does it feel? You know, you're a veteran daycare operator, and so you've been helping so many families for years and years as a daycare teacher and owner. How does it feel now to be transitioning into the role of children's author?
It's actually very rewarding. I've been a daycare provider and preschool teacher for 30 plus years, and I learned so much from them. And part of this is just giving back to them. My first book, it was dedicated to all of the daycare children and preschool children that I had in my life over these years. This one, I took from their mouths, and they gave me the idea of how to write this book. The next book is a gratitude book. And again, great examples. That's an ABC book. So it's humbling to know that, I actually am an author, a children's author, and that when I read these books to children, whether it's on a Zoom or whether it's in a story time, I'm actually doing the 4th of July concert series. I'm doing story time with the kids before the concerts. 4th of July is very big in Bristol, Rhode Island. And so I'm excited to be able to be with the kids one-on-one and just be able to read this story to them and see their reactions. And they're the ones that I actually went to for the first time. I actually had a beta group of about 20 kids, and they gave me their ideas of what they thought the book was and how they perceived it and what they got out of it. So it's very, very humbling, and just makes me happy. It just makes me happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's, the old saying, if you love your job, you never go to work a day in your life. And it's obvious that you've loved both of your jobs, both as a daycare provider and now as a children's author. How lucky do you feel?
I am very lucky. I'm so grateful for these opportunities. This is something that, my first book came out of COVID, and a lot of people, it was a very sad time in a lot of people's lives. And, it was sad in my life too, but it was a way I could help the kids. And that book is still helping children now to this day. People are still buying it. They're still talking about it. They're still giving it as presents for kids that will want to remember what they went through, but in the happier moments of it. So I'm just grateful for these opportunities. I'm grateful for all of my children that I have in my life and have had in my life. I'm grateful for just the opportunity to be able to put it on paper and share it with these kids and hope that it makes a difference in their lives. Even one life, it makes a difference.
Yeah. Just one last question before we ask where we can go to learn more about the book and be part of the campaign. You mentioned that you've been a daycare provider for over 30 years. Have you had the experience of caring for the child of one of the people that you cared for as a child?
Yes. Yes. So right now I have a little boy in my daycare who's going to be going off to kindergarten, and his mom and his aunt in my daycare. So yes. And I'm getting young adults that were in school with my children that are having children. So, it's surreal. Friday night, my niece graduated from high school, and she was with a group of 5 girls in my daycare, and all 5 of them graduated, and I couldn't believe that it happened in such a blink of an eye. Yeah. 12 years gone, right? Or 13 years gone. It was crazy. And I had a hard time with it because I kept thinking, wow, she can't be that old, right? So, yeah. But I'm grateful for this life. I'm grateful for the fact that I've had the ability to enhance children's lives, to enhance the families. I'm very close to all of my families that I've had in here. And it's just, I look at my kids and I look at them and I just think, wow, it's a different, I don't know, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that 32 years have gone by.
Wow.
So.
Well, we don't want 32 years to pass before we tell people where they can go to be a part of the Power of Kindness Through the Eyes of Children Kickstarter campaign.
So there is a link that you can go to. It's a fairly long link, so you might want to put it on your website. But you can also go to my website, which is Ruth Maille, so RUTHMAILLE -author, AUTHOR.com. And there you'll be able to sign up for an email, and then you'll get the link for the Kickstarter as well.
Yeah, that's the best way. Just go to ruthmaille-author.com. Click on the Kickstarter link there and be part of this great campaign. Be able to point to the book in your family library and say, we help make that happen. We are spreading kindness all over the world.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
We've had a great time speaking to the author of The Power of Kindness Through the Eyes of Children, Ruth Maille. Hey, Ruth, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks, Jed. I appreciate the opportunity.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Well, two great guests, Amanda Malik Ahmadi, will be on the show along with Clary Kavanaugh. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, you heard me announce that our guest today, Ruth Maille, is a 2-time Reading with Your Kids certified great read author. If you're the author of a great children's book, you might want to check out our Reading with Your Kids certified great read program. It's helped authors like Ruth get their books out there to let parents know that their book is worthy of their consideration. Check it out today. Go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. Scroll on down to Certified Great Read. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, our 2-time Reading with Your Kids certified great read author, Ruth Maille. Be sure to check out The Power of Kindness Through the Eyes of Children. Also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan, Helen Frazier, Justina Thompson. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.